Obviously, it's been in the news a lot, just released on Steam and on PC. It's been massively successful, not just in general for a game launch, but by far kind of the biggest launch we've ever seen when it comes to these PlayStation ports. Almost 200,000 people playing it, which is absolutely wild. But one of the only things that people are talking about are the horny gamers. The horny gamers out there. It took Stellar Blade just 72 hours to sell 1 million copies on PC. And we all know why.
They're just seething over the fact that their stupid date everything game where you fuck tables and chairs and refrigerators hasn't made 1 million sales yet.
I know. And never in my life did I think I would need to search out Stellar Blade horny. But we had to find some of these journalists who are they are saying the only reason this game is successful is because it features a hot girl in skimpy clothes. Now, that's why I needed you here, Vera, because you've played the game 3 fucking times somehow. 3 fucking times you've played this game. And yeah, of course, attractive characters 100% can bring people in and draw people's attention. Will it keep them there throughout the entirety of the game and replayability and stuff? I have my doubts. What do you think?
No, I mean, obviously, sex appeal in media is a selling point. It's good for marketing material. There's a lot of people who do want to just play games with super attractive, sexy, feminine characters and hunky masculine men. And of course, first of all, that shouldn't be a big problem, but it is to these losers. But second of all, the game has more to offer than that. The combat is really fluid. The combat is solid. The level design, I like for the most part. There's a couple of areas that are kind of bizarre, but for the most part, that's really good. The boss fights are awesome. It's got one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game. And sure, the story is kind of predictable, and the characters that are like going to betray you are pretty predictable. But at the same time, it does still have a solid story if you're actually paying attention. It feels like the brain dead take of, oh, the Souls games don't have a story. They do have a story. They have tons of lore. You just actually have to pay attention. But we know that these journalists don't actually play video games. And when they do, they're only playing games that push the narratives that they support. So they have made Stellar Blade a target for, well over a year now, simply because, oh, boo-hoo, the breasts are bothering us. Even though, again, they'll praise a game where you fuck a refrigerator.
Yeah, and you'll see articles by the same people who are saying it's kind of a bad thing that so many people are freaking out over this attractive character or this attractive character, or they're mesmerized by tits or whatever. However, you go in like their library of articles they've written, and they're sitting there simping over some other characters in those in different games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like with the article that you just pulled up by Ethan Gotch, one of the 2 journos that are still left at Kotaku before they go out of business. He specifically went out of his way to find reviews that use the terms like gooner and that say, oh, I only, bought this game for gooner reasons, even though there's thousands upon thousands of reviews that don't mention that. But of course, he needs to push a certain narrative that, oh, all gamers are sexist pigs. And so he put up an article like this, which is not shocking for them, because if they didn't have low standards, they'd have no standards at all.
I think it's funny because if you do want to make the argument, that the reason that this game's performing better than Dragon Age the Veilguard and Assassin's Creed Shadows and
well, that would be hard.
All these other games, if you want to make the argument that the only reason it's successful is just because it has hot characters, well then holy shit, it's a pretty easy way to fix everything, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
If that's the only thing that you need to change, it's the only reason the game's successful, why the fuck do you keep making these ugly characters focus on trans scars or whatever the fuck? Man, fix it just like that.
Yeah, I think that what is so funny about that is you're correct. Like, if it was that simple, the gaming industry would not be facing the problems it's facing today. And sure, it's still making boatloads of money. I mean, the video game industry in 2024 brought in over $200 billion. Like, a lot of these companies are not struggling, but they would be making so much more money. Imagine if Dragon Age of Veilguard had made $1 billion like EA wanted. Imagine if all of these other slop titles like, I don't know, Unknown Nine Awakening and Kill the Justice League and Forspoken, if all of those did as good as they'd imagined, they'd be making $300 billion.
Yeah, and I think the reality is obviously people do want to play as attractive characters. That's just in general, both men and women want to play as attractive characters. However, if it's just about that, for me, I can't imagine sitting there and playing a 20, 25 hour game, however long it would take, just because I was looking at someone's hot backside when I can find that in a lot of other places they don't have to invest that time into. That might get people interested and make people take a chance, but the gameplay and the story is what keeps them there.
Mhm.
At least that's how I see it. I think that's the most realistic way to look at it.
Oh yeah,
And if this
100%.
game was a massive failure in those aspects, there's no way
Yeah,
that it would be
well,
selling as many copies as it is, especially a year after release.
yeah, definitely. It's like with the first Descendant that came out and it initially got a lot of attention because it has a lot of attractive characters. There were a lot of very revealing outfits, and they highlighted a lot of like ass jiggle in the trailers, and that's not a bad thing. But when you actually got to the game itself, I played a lot of it and I thought that it was fun, but it's not enough to keep me constantly playing it or keep me around. Like, sure, I would go back when they add a new character, or like I bought like one costume in the game and I would play when they put out like new raids. But first of all, the game itself has a lot of problems with the gameplay itself. It's fun, but like it could be a hell of a lot better. There's microtransaction issues, and when you pair that with the fact that they're not adding a lot of new content, that game has fallen off. Whereas something like Stellar Blade, which is a single player experience, it gives you, I think, like 40 costumes or 50 costumes initially, a lot of costumes, and it's got a lot of content. Like that just goes to show that the game has way more to offer because there's so many people who are either repurchasing it or going out of their way to buy it now and mod it because they're having so much fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, well, as of like probably an hour ago when I pulled this up, 130,000 people still playing it, almost 200,000 at peak, which is, again, a single player game that released what, over a year ago
Yeah,
on
in April
PlayStation
of
and did
2024.
really well,
Mhm.
performed really well for them. So to put that in perspective, things like, I don't know, God of War, when they finally came to Steam,
Whew.
that was like 50,000 people playing it, 55, 60,000, somewhere around there. Spider-Man remastered, when they put that out, 60,000 people.
I
Stellar Blade
mean,
is
I think The Last of Us
yeah,
1 is only like 40.
probably. Now,
Yeah.
to be fair, that one was probably like what, like 10 years after it initially released or
Yeah, but
something.
still, ultimately, you'd think that something that had as much hype as The Last of Us would have been able to garner more than, I don't know, 50 or 60K. But
Did The Last of Us come out on Steam after The Last of Us Part 2 had already released?
I don't remember, but
Probably.
uh probably. And it's so sad to see The Last of Us kind of die because of the second game and the Abby smashing. But I mean, Stellar Blade's a brand new franchise. This is the first game in what will hopefully be a series. So seeing these numbers is even better because if you look at something like Dragon Age Veilguard, right? We had several releases before we got to that point, before we got to Veilguard. Stellar Blade, this is the first game. So, I mean, that success is even better for them.
Yeah, the Stellar Blade. They've been very upfront. They're trying to do a sequel. I don't know if we'll see it till like 2027 or 2028 or something, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they said that they were hoping the end of 2026, but it seems like it's going to be probably like mid 2027, just given how long development times are. But hey, it just goes to show that you also don't need a fucking decade to make a slop game like Veilguard. That game makes me so mad. I don't know which I hate more, Veilguard or fucking The Last of Us Part 2.
Well, Dragon Age is a lot more, has a much bigger franchise and like many more entries and stuff.
Yeah, well, now
Whereas
it's
Last of Us
dead,
is just
so.
one game.
Yeah, that's true, but that one game was so fantastic. Either way, Kill the Justice League pissed me off way more than all of them, so it is what it is.